If the power outage starts tonight, what will you eat after day 3? It sounds simple, but that is when many people realize their food storage has a major gap. They have food, they have water, but they do not have foods that can be eaten immediately without a stove, without electricity, and without preparation. So today, we are going to look at 15 no-cook foods you will need during a power outage. Some items on this list may already be sitting in your kitchen. Others are completely overlooked, even though they can be far more useful than many expensive survival foods. And the interesting thing is that the item in the number 1 position is not the one with the most protein, not the one with the most calories, but the one that can help you get through a problem most people only recognize when it is already too late. Let's start with the first item. 15. Crackers. During a prolonged power outage, you will quickly realize something very strange. Getting enough calories does not necessarily make you feel like you are having a real meal. You can open a can of tuna, scoop out some peanut butter, or eat a few pieces of jerky, but it still feels like a collection of separate foods just to fight hunger. After 2 or 3 days, that feeling starts to affect your mindset. There is no longer a clear breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There are only moments of refueling in the dark. That is why crackers matter. Their greatest value is not that they are the most nutritious food, but that they can turn separate foods into a meal with structure. A little tuna on a cracker becomes a meal. A layer of peanut butter on a cracker becomes a quick breakfast. A bit of mashed beans or canned chicken placed on top makes the brain feel like you are still eating something with form and structure. Unopened crackers can usually be stored for about 6 to 12 months. They are best kept in an airtight container, in a dry place, away from moisture and sunlight, because even a small amount of moisture can quickly make them soft and take away their greatest value, their crunch. A standard box of crackers can provide about 25 to 35 small servings. That number is remarkable because a single box can make many other stored foods easier to eat over several days. They require no cooking, no refrigeration, no utensils, and they do not leave you with dishes to wash when clean water is precious. During a power outage, crackers are like a small foundation that helps the entire food supply work better. They preserve a sense of normalcy, and sometimes that sense of normalcy is exactly what helps you continue eating and thinking clearly. 14. Jarred applesauce. Most people prepare for hunger, but very few prepare for the moment when the body no longer wants to eat. During a prolonged power outage, lack of sleep, worry, heat, or extreme cold can make appetite disappear. You know you need energy, but dry, salty, tough, or overly heavy foods start to become hard to swallow. For older adults, this becomes even more obvious because fatigue, a headache, or stress can turn a meal into something that requires effort. Jarred applesauce fills that exact gap. Its strongest advantage is that it is easy to eat. A small 4-ounce jar usually provides about 80 to 100 calories, but its real value is that it is soft, moist, mildly sweet, easy to swallow, and easy to digest. No cooking required, no heavy chewing, no need to add water, no stove needed. Just open and eat, even when you are tired or not in the mood to eat. In an emergency food supply, not every item needs to act as a main dish. Some foods exist to help the body accept food again. Applesauce is one of them. It can be eaten on its own, eaten with crackers, mixed with cold-soaked oats, or used as a light snack for someone with an unsettled stomach. Unopened applesauce can usually be stored for about 12 to 18 months at room temperature. Choose small jars or individual pouches, because after opening without refrigeration, you should finish it the same day to avoid waste and reduce the risk of spoilage. During a power outage, comfort is also a form of energy. A small jar of applesauce does not just provide quick calories and gentle moisture, but also brings a familiar, clean, pleasant feeling when the kitchen no longer works the way it normally does. 13. Instant oats. Most people remove oats from the list of foods for a power outage right from the start. They look at a bag of oats and think of a stove, a pot, and hot water. That is why so many people overlook one of the most flexible foods in the supermarket. But here is what long-distance hikers, climbers, and people who regularly live off-grid have known for years. Oats do not really need heat. They just need time. This technique is called cold soaking. Just add clean water, wait about 15 to 20 minutes, and instant oats will soften enough to use. Not as good as a hot bowl of oats on a cold morning, but during a power outage, the goal is not perfection. The goal is to keep functioning. What makes oats special is not that they are cheap. What makes them stand out is how the body processes them. A serving of about 40 grams of dry oats provides nearly 150 calories and about 4 grams of fiber. These complex carbohydrates digest much more slowly than candy or sweets. That means energy is released steadily instead of spiking and then dropping quickly. During a long day without power, when you have to keep making decisions and solving problems, that steady source of energy is worth more than many people realize. Oats have another advantage. They can combine with almost anything. A spoonful of peanut butter adds fat and protein. A jar of applesauce makes the food more comforting. A little canned fruit adds natural sweetness. Unopened instant oats can usually be stored for about 1 to 2 years if kept dry. After opening, they should be transferred to an airtight container or moisture-resistant zip bag, because the biggest enemies of oats are not time, but moisture, strange odors, and insects. One simple ingredient can create dozens of different variations. During a power outage, it is not just food. It is a foundation for building many different meals. And sometimes, what you need most is not heat, just a little time. Have you ever tried soaking oats in cold water? Or have you always thought this food had to be cooked? Write it in the comments, because I believe this is one item many people misunderstand. 12. Tortillas. Tortillas are often seen as a simple type of bread that sits somewhere between bread and pancakes. But during a prolonged power outage, tortillas are not really food. They are a tool. Take a look at most of the foods on this list. Tuna pouches, canned beans, canned chicken, peanut butter, and nuts. All of them are edible, but if you eat them separately for several days in a row, everything quickly becomes boring. Tortillas change that. They turn separate ingredients into a complete handheld meal without needing a plate, utensils, or even a table. A standard package of tortillas usually contains about 8 to 10 tortillas, with each one providing from 120 to 150 calories. But the more important number lies in their flexibility. With just a package of tortillas and a few basic ingredients from your food storage, you can create dozens of different combinations. Tuna wraps, bean wraps, peanut butter wraps, chicken wraps, the same ingredients, but they feel like different meals. Tortillas also have a major practical advantage. They are significantly more durable than bread. Bread molds easily, gets crushed easily, and quickly turns into crumbs when you are on the move. Tortillas are different. They are thin, flexible, easy to store, and can handle being carried in an emergency bag or vehicle. One package can sit quietly in a cabinet for weeks without causing any problems. Tortillas can usually be stored for several weeks to several months, depending on the type and packaging. Choose tightly sealed packages. Store them in a cool, dry place away from sunlight, and after opening, seal the bag tightly and use them soon, because tortillas can dry out, become hard, or develop mold if exposed to moisture. During a power outage, flexibility is often more valuable than complexity. Tortillas are not the most impressive item in the kitchen, but they may be the thing that helps 10 other foods work better. And that is exactly why they deserve a place in your emergency food supply. 11. Canned fruit. After about 3 days of eating stored food, something strange starts to happen. The body no longer asks for more protein. It no longer asks for more calories. It starts asking for something that so many people forget to prepare: moisture, sweetness, freshness. This is why so many people have enough food in the house but still feel exhausted and lose their appetite during a prolonged power outage. They are eating dry, salty, dense foods that repeat day after day. That is when canned fruit comes in. A regular can of peaches, pineapple, or mandarin oranges does not just contain fruit, it also contains liquid. A standard can of sliced peaches can contain more than 200 milliliters of juice or light syrup inside. Under normal conditions, many people pour this liquid away. But when a power outage lasts and clean water becomes more important, that amount of liquid is worth more than you think. Besides water, canned fruit also provides natural sugar that gives the body a quick source of energy. Not the kind of energy that lasts for hours like oats or beans, but a quick boost in alertness when you feel tired or low on strength. Many types of canned fruit also still retain some vitamin C, an important micronutrient when the diet becomes monotonous for several days. But the biggest benefit is psychological. Researchers call it food fatigue. When you eat the same type of food for too long, appetite starts to decline, even though the body still needs energy. A can of cool, sweet peaches or a few pieces of canned mandarin oranges can break that monotony. Sometimes what helps you get through day 4 of a power outage is not more protein. It is a can of fruit that makes the meal feel pleasant again. And I am curious, if you could choose only one type of canned fruit to store, would you choose peaches, pineapple, or mandarin oranges? 10. Nuts. The first few hours of a power outage are usually not what people imagine. You are not sitting still in a chair and relaxing. You are checking the refrigerator, looking for a flashlight, calling family members, following the news, checking the water supply, and trying to understand what is happening. During those hours, the most valuable thing is not a large meal. It is food you can eat immediately without stopping. That is why nuts always appear on carefully researched emergency food lists. A serving of about 28 grams of almonds, cashews, or peanuts usually provides from 160 to 200 calories. That number is comparable to many energy bars on the market, but in a much smaller size. You can put them in a jacket pocket, car compartment, or backpack and eat them anywhere. What makes nuts special is their energy density. Most of the calories come from fat, the most concentrated fuel source the body can use. They also contain protein, magnesium, potassium, and some sodium if you choose the salted roasted type. These are minerals the body keeps losing when you are stressed, sweating, or moving more than usual. Another advantage that is often overlooked is speed. No need to open a can, no utensils needed, no hot water needed, no preparation needed. You just take a handful and keep doing what you are doing. In a situation where both time and focus are being stretched, that makes a real difference. Many people think survival food has to be complicated or specialized. But sometimes the biggest advantage comes from the simplest things. Nuts do not just provide energy. They help you keep moving when everything around you is slowing down. And in the first hours of a power outage, Speed is the advantage. By the way, what type of nut is always available in your kitchen? Almonds, cashews, walnuts, or peanuts? 9. Jerky thousands of years before electricity, before refrigerators, before supermarkets stayed open 24 hours a day, humans faced the same problem we are talking about today. How do you carry protein without it going bad? The interesting thing is that almost every civilization found the same answer. Indigenous people in North America had pemmican. South Africa had biltong. South America had jerky. Asia had countless versions of dried meat. They did not plan it together. They were simply solving the same problem. That is why jerky appears in this position. Not because it is trendy, not because it is advertised as survival food, but because history has tested it for hundreds, even thousands of years. When you remove moisture from meat, you remove most of the conditions that allow bacteria to grow. What remains is concentrated protein in a very small size. A serving of jerky of about 28 grams usually provides from 9 to 12 grams of complete protein. That means a 250-gram bag of jerky can contain nearly 100 grams of protein. With its light weight, portability, and no need for refrigeration, very few foods can compete with the protein-to-weight ratio that jerky provides. But this is what makes it truly useful during a power outage. You do not need to stop to eat. No dishes needed. No preparation needed. No fire needed. You can put a few packs in the car, backpack, or drawer and forget about them until you need them. That is why jerky has always gone with hunters, climbers, and people who have to stay on the move for long periods. And if you currently have one type of jerky at home, let me know whether it is beef, turkey, or another kind. I would really like to see which one is the most common. Because jerky is not a new trend. It is a lesson history has repeated many times. 8. Protein bars. The most dangerous thing during a power outage is not always hunger. In reality, many people still have food in the house when they start making bad decisions. They forget important tasks. They get angry faster than usual. They lose patience. They do things that, just a few hours earlier, they themselves knew they should not do. The problem is not the amount of food left. The problem is a brain running low on fuel. When available energy drops below a certain level, the ability to focus and handle situations starts to weaken. You do not just feel hungry. You become slower, more irritable, and less accurate in your reactions. In an emergency, small mistakes are often more costly than people think. This is where protein bars show their value. They are not meant to replace a main meal, but to act as a bridge between the two hardest times to eat. A standard protein bar usually provides from 180 to 250 calories and about 10 to 20 grams of protein. In just a few minutes, it can help bring the body back to a more stable state without requiring any preparation. The biggest advantage of protein bars is speed. You can keep them in the car, in a backpack, in a drawer, or in an emergency bag. No can to open, no heating needed, no water to find, just unwrap and eat. This is not just convenient food. This is food for the moments when the brain starts slowing down, but you still have to keep handling everything. If you had to choose one type of protein bar to store at home, which would you choose? The one with the most protein, the best taste, or the longest shelf life? Sometimes what saves you from a bad decision is not a large meal, just the right protein bar at the right time. 7. Shelf-stable milk. When the power goes out, most people think of the same scene. The refrigerator stops running, the cold air disappears, and the carton of regular milk in the fridge begins its countdown. Some families wake up after just one night, open the refrigerator, smell each item, and end up throwing away nearly all of their milk because they are no longer sure whether it is safe. It is a frustrating feeling, not just because of the wasted money, but because something so familiar at breakfast suddenly becomes useless simply because the electricity is gone. But in that same kitchen, there may be another carton of milk sitting quietly in a cabinet as if nothing has happened. No refrigerator needed, no ice needed, no generator required. That is shelf-stable milk. This is why many people have misunderstood milk in their emergency food plans. The problem is not that milk is unsuitable during a power outage. The problem is choosing the right type of milk. Shelf-stable milk is processed at ultra-high temperatures and packaged in a sterile environment. So when unopened, many varieties can be stored for about 6 to 12 months at room temperature. A small carton can sit in a kitchen cabinet for months, waiting for the moment you need it. And when you take it out, it is not just a familiar drink. A serving of about 240 milliliters usually provides 8 to 9 grams of protein and nearly 300 milligrams of calcium. For people over 50, this is especially important because the body still needs protein to maintain muscle and calcium to support bone health, even during a power outage. Shelf-stable milk also makes many other foods easier to use. It can be poured into cold-soaked oats, served with cereal or granola, or consumed on its own when you do not want a heavy meal. Some foods do not lose their value when the electricity disappears. They simply need to be placed in the right spot in the kitchen cabinet before that happens. 6. Peanut butter. If there is one food that many emergency preppers keep buying more of even when the kitchen cabinet is already full, it is peanut butter. From the outside, it is just an ordinary jar sitting on a supermarket shelf. But during a prolonged power outage, its real value begins to show. Think about this. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter usually provide about 190 to 200 calories and 7 to 8 grams of protein. That may not sound too special until you look at the entire jar. A standard 16-ounce jar usually contains from 2,500 to more than 2,600 calories. That is almost the amount of energy an adult needs for an entire day, compressed into a small jar that can be held in one hand. This is exactly why peanut butter appears on countless food storage lists. It does not take up much space. It does not need special storage equipment. It does not need freezing. It does not need electricity. Just place it on the shelf and leave it there. But the value of peanut butter is not just in the calories. It is in the energy density. In the same volume, very few common foods can provide that much energy. Fat provides a longer-lasting fuel source. Protein helps support muscle and creates a more filling feeling. That is why just a few spoonfuls can make a clear difference on days when you cannot prepare a full meal. Another advantage is shelf life. Most unopened peanut butter can be stored for 12 to 24 months, sometimes longer if kept in a dry, cool place away from direct sunlight. After opening, just close the lid tightly and use a clean utensil to avoid reducing the product's quality. There is a very common saying in the emergency preparedness community: do not judge food by its size. Peanut butter is the perfect example of that. A small jar sitting quietly on the shelf can contain thousands of calories, dozens of servings, and a lot of peace of mind. When the electricity disappears, it is no longer just something to spread on bread. It becomes a concentrated energy reserve that any kitchen would want to have. 5. Canned soup. A prolonged power outage often leads to another crisis that many people do not recognize at first. Not a lack of food, but a lack of water. When people prepare for an emergency, they usually focus on calories, protein, and shelf life. But the human body can endure hunger far longer than it can endure a lack of water. That is why canned soup deserves a place on any list of no-cook foods. What makes canned soup special is that one can do two things at the same time. A standard can of soup usually contains from 400 to 500 milliliters of liquid, equal to nearly 2 cups of broth. At the same time, it also provides energy, a certain amount of protein, and sodium to help support electrolyte balance. In a power outage, when boiling water or accessing clean water becomes more difficult, this is a very valuable advantage. Besides the liquid factor, soup has another strength. It is easy to eat. After several days of using dry foods like crackers, protein bars, or jerky, the body often starts wanting something softer and easier to digest. Even when it cannot be heated, most canned soups can still be eaten directly from the can. That helps save time, fuel, and effort. Unopened canned soup can usually be stored for about 2 to 5 years if the can is still in good condition. It should be kept in a dry, cool place. Avoid damp areas like under the sink, because a rusty can is a small sign that can ruin the entire storage plan. Perhaps the most valuable thing is the comfort that soup brings. A food with broth often feels much more familiar than many other emergency foods. During a prolonged power outage, that can make a bigger difference than you think. Few foods can provide liquid, energy, and ease of eating all at the same time like canned soup. That is why it always appears in well-prepared emergency supplies. 4. Canned chicken. One of the most common mistakes when preparing for a power outage is storing too many foods that create a feeling of fullness, but do not provide enough high-quality protein. Crackers, oats, instant noodles, or other starchy foods are all very useful, but after a few days, the body starts needing more than that. It needs protein to maintain muscle, support recovery, and keep you feeling full longer. That is when canned chicken becomes a worthwhile choice. What makes canned chicken stand out is not novelty. On the contrary, its familiarity is its greatest advantage. A 5-ounce can of chicken usually provides from 20 to 25 grams of complete protein. This is an amount of protein comparable to a serving of chicken in a normal meal, but it requires no cooking, no refrigeration, and can be used as soon as you open the lid. Many people often overlook this when building an emergency food supply. Not every protein source is easy to eat over a long period of time. Some are too salty. Some are too dry. Some have a flavor that is too strong. Canned chicken is different. It is soft, familiar in taste, and easy to combine with almost everything on this list. You can eat it with crackers, wrap it in a tortilla, mix it with beans, or eat it directly from the can. With just one ingredient, you can create many different types of meals. Canned chicken can usually be stored for about 2 to 5 years when unopened. After opening, if the power is out and there is no refrigerator, finish it in that meal. Do not leave an opened can sitting for many hours in a hot environment. Canned chicken does not just provide protein. It provides a familiar, flexible, and easy-to-use kind of protein. And when everything around you becomes abnormal, sometimes the familiar things are the most valuable. 3. Tuna/salmon pouches. A fully stocked food supply can still become useless if you cannot open it. It sounds funny, but during a prolonged power outage, misplacing a can opener is not uncommon. That is why tuna and salmon pouches become a smarter choice than many people realize. What makes them stand out is not just the food inside, but the packaging outside. You do not need a can opener. No tools needed. No time wasted searching for anything. Just tear the pouch open and eat. A regular tuna or salmon pouch usually provides from 15 to 20 grams of complete protein. Salmon also contains omega-3, an important type of fat for the heart and brain. During a prolonged power outage, many people have enough calories but lack high-quality protein. This is the gap that prepackaged fish helps fill. Fish pouches are lighter than cans, take up less space, and are easy to carry in a backpack or car. When combined with crackers or a tortilla, you can create a complete meal in less than a minute. Tuna or salmon pouches usually have a shelf life of about 2 to 3 years. They should be stored in a dry, cool place, away from heavy pressure or sharp objects that could puncture the packaging, because even one small tear can make this item lose its entire advantage. Sometimes we think the value is in the food inside, but in an emergency, the packaging itself determines whether you can access that food or not. And that is why tuna or salmon pouches always have a place in well-prepared emergency supplies. 2. Canned beans. If you had to keep only one food item from this list, canned beans would be one of the strongest candidates. Not because they are the most appealing, but because they are the most balanced. A standard can of beans usually provides from 300 to 450 calories, about 12 to 20 grams of protein, and from 10 to 15 grams of fiber. Very few foods can provide energy, protein, and fiber all at the same time in a single product like that. What makes beans special is the long-lasting feeling of fullness. While many foods help you stop feeling hungry for a short time, beans create a more stable source of energy thanks to the combination of complex carbohydrates and fiber. That is especially useful when a power outage lasts for several days. Beans are also one of the most flexible foods on this list. You can eat them directly from the can, eat them with a tortilla, mix them with canned chicken, or combine them with tuna. If you look back at the entire list, beans can pair with almost every other item. Another major advantage is cost. Canned beans are usually cheaper than many other protein sources, but still provide very high nutritional value. That is why they appear on both budget lists and survival lists. Beans are not the kind of food that impresses you at first glance, but after a few days without power, you will understand why they are always among the most recommended items. Not flashy, but extremely effective. 1. Ready-to-eat meals. At some point during a prolonged power outage, what you lack is no longer calories. What you lack is the energy to think. After hours or days of handling a series of problems, from preserving food, checking drinking water, following information, to caring for your family, the brain starts to get tired. Researchers call this phenomenon decision fatigue. That is why ready-to-eat meals stand at number 1 on this list. What makes them special is not the flavor, not superior nutritional value, but the fact that they remove almost the entire thinking process. No need to choose ingredients, no need to combine foods, no preparation needed, no calculating. Just open and eat. A regular ready-to-eat meal usually provides from 300 to 600 calories, along with a relatively balanced amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fat. But the more important number is the number of decisions it helps you save. It may sound strange, but in a prolonged, stressful situation, not having to think about what you will eat can make a bigger difference than people imagine. That is also why many rescue teams, emergency responders, and people who regularly work in difficult conditions always carry ready-made meals with them. The interesting thing is that in today's list, none of these items were created specifically for a power outage. They are all ordinary foods that millions of people buy every day. But when the electricity disappears, those ordinary items begin to show their real value. And that may be the biggest lesson of this video. Preparing is not about buying strange things. Preparing is about looking at familiar items in a different way. A carton of shelf-stable milk is no longer just milk. A jar of peanut butter is no longer just something to spread on bread. A can of beans is no longer just cheap food. They become tools that help you maintain energy, clear thinking, and a sense of normalcy when everything around you is no longer normal. Now I want to ask you one question. If the power outage started tonight and you could only keep 3 items from this list, which ones would you choose? Share them in the comments. I will read every answer. And who knows, your choice may help someone else prepare better for the day they need it.